Hello traders, here Chris Caprice, SecondsGuysForex.com. So a new trading video for you here today. This one is primarily a teaching method to help you build or understand how to use Forex Tester 2 to build your skill base. Our training methodology is generally solution-based training. You know, we look at finding solutions instead of necessarily just focusing on problems. So we are solution-based training. We're also focused on building a skill set as a primary method to understand price action. And with that being said, and it's not just price action, it's actually any one of the courses. So, you know, we focus on really teaching skills as being primary, and then the tools and everything else are secondary. So if you want to be a really good archer, if your goal is to hit the target, you know, say 1 out of every 2 times, like a perfect 10, 1 out of every 2 times, and you want to, you know, shoot a 9 the other half of the times, well then how do you do that? You don't do that by focusing on hitting the target as a perfect 10. You do that by focusing on the technique and all the skills you need to build to get there. So to hit a target, a perfect 10 1 out of every 2 times and a 9 every other time, you need to have really good technique, really good skills in place. You need to have really good posture, good follow through, good aim. You need to have a lot of things in place. What you really need is a series of skills in place to hit the target that consistently. So I get a lot of people who come to me and say, my goal is to, you know, make 70 pips, 75 pips a day, or 100 pips a day, you know, with 2 to R, you know, 1 R to R, you know, or 2 R accuracy, or, you know, or 2 R return. And, you know, I want to be this percent accurate. And the thing about it is that, okay, if that's your goal, great. How do you get there? You don't get there by hunting for a system that has those stats, because it doesn't really matter if you don't have the skills in place to use that system in the right time in the right environment effectively. Then you won't be able to get the best out of that system. You won't be able to hit your goal by any means. A great example of this is when I was training in competitive archery at the school in Argentina. I wasn't the best archer there by any means. In fact, I had only been there a little over a year and a half. And, you know, after a year and a half, I got pretty darn good. I was in the advanced group, but I wasn't the best archer by any means. I had definitely had an edge in terms of mindset and focus, awareness. You know, I also had my experience from being a professional trader and what that was like in terms of process, building skill sets. So I had a lot of things in place to accelerate my learning curve, but I wasn't the best archer by any means. That went to Mati. His name's Mati. So keep in mind, it should be noted, in terms of equipment and the bow itself, I actually had the most expensive and the highest caliber bow in the entire school. I had an Olympic caliber bow that's the same bow that the reigning US champion uses. That if you were to go to an Olympics, you would probably see 1 out of every 3 archers using this bow. So the bow by itself was an incredibly powerful bow that had the capacity to give me a lot of, I guess you could say, get a really good, precise shot. But if the technique wasn't in place, then it didn't really matter what bow I had. I wouldn't be able to hit the target consistently. So I had the most expensive bow, I had the most expensive equipment, and I wasn't the best archer. And that went to Monty because he trained the most in that, he focused on process, he had the best skill set in place, and he had done this for years. He had launched thousands and thousands of arrows per week. And so because of that, you know, he was the best archer. This is the same thing for trading. You can have the most expensive system, i.e. I could hand you the keys to the most expensive bow or system, and you still will not, that will not make you a successful trader. You need skills in place. And we are a solution-based, skill-focused training training methodology. That's what our courses are focused on. That's why we focus on, in our primary videos in the courses, having the ones that are highly skill-based, so they help you build the skills so you can use the strategies effectively. And so, with that being said, I really want you to start thinking about your training in terms of, okay, if my goal is this, well then what skills do I need to get me from here to there? Okay, well I need this skill, and this skill. Okay, great, well then I need to start working on that. And so if you're focusing purely on systems, how to use them, entry, exit, stop loss, take profit, what's the correct method, you're going about this the wrong way. That's like expecting to be the best archer by buying the best bow, having the best equipment, and thinking that that's going to make you a great archer. Will it give you a certain edge over somebody with the same skill level? It will, but if you don't have any skill level to begin with, then that bow will be relatively useless. And so with that being said, I want to talk about Forex Tester 2 and how you can use that to help build your skill base. Keep in mind, we have a relationship with them. They will offer a $50 discount to any student who orders through the affiliate link, which is in the course. You get a nice, I think it's like a 25-30% discount with them. So, this is a fantastic tool to build your skill set. It is particularly useful for anyone wanting to build their skill set and accelerate the learning curve. But if you are someone with a full-time job, you can only trade on the 4-hour or daily charts, you're not going to see that many candles and setups. Maybe you have a full-time job, maybe you have a family, you have kids. You're busy. You probably only have anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, if you're lucky, 4 hours a day to really make trades, analyze the charts, practice, train, and everything. So how do you maximize this time? If you open up the charts and you don't see any setups available, well then what do you do to build your skill set? Well, you can watch videos, that's great, but remember, that's just information. You're just taking in information. After a certain point, taking in that information doesn't make you a better trader. You can keep taking the information, it won't make you a better trader. That's why you can't approach trading from a purely intellectual, conceptual perspective. We can pour in all the information into you possible, but if you don't have the skills in place, you will not be a good trader. It doesn't matter what information is in your brain, you will not execute properly, you will not manage risk properly, you will not use the systems at the right times. So you have to understand that training goes beyond reading books, watching videos. It goes way beyond that. Just like for a baseball player, they have to have batting practice and fielding drills. And there's a lot of things that go into building skills. It's not just playing games. That doesn't build the skill set by itself. Ever watch a soccer practice? It's not just playing a game the entire time. They're doing a lot of different drills to build up the skill set. It was the same for us in archery, and it should be the same for you in trading. That is where your training should really be focused on, is building skills. So how do we use Forex Tester 2 to build those skill set? Well, first off, let me bring the platform a little bit. It functions very much like MT4. So if you're familiar with MT4, it functions very much like with it. What you're going to be looking to do is to get it into testing or training mode. And so you can see there's a history mode and testing mode. You actually have to start off, it's kind of a little strange how they do it, but once you get used to it, it's in place. So you have to load the data up. You do that via the history mode. You pick a chart, you pick a pair, pick a time frame, you load the data. Once the data is all loaded, then you switch to testing mode. And it should have that chart and pair loaded up. What you want to be doing from here is, let's say you are a 4-hour or daily chart trader and you want to build up your skill set in trading pin bars. Okay, great. Well, in a live chart, you're only going to get one pin bar. You're only going to get one new bar every 4 hours, and it may not be a pin bar. You might not see a pin bar set up for days. So what, you wait around for days to actually practice your skill set? No, that's not how it works. You go to batting practice, and Forex Tester 2 is a way to do your batting practice. So what you can do is say, okay, I'm going to load up pound dollar. Maybe it's your favorite pair, and I want to learn how to trade pound dollar pin bars using the pound dollar and the 4-hour chart. Fantastic. Load up a chart. You can zoom in and out if you want to, check different levels, check context. Once you feel like you got everything in place, here's where you set your time frame. This is where you actually hit the play speed. Now here, you can set the play speed to go forward and back. The closer you go to the right, the faster it will speed up. The more to the left, it will slow it down. So let me show you what this looks like. Once you're ready to look for pin bars, you say, okay, I'll hit play. Now, right now, you can see it's going through various iterations. I think it's every 15 minutes of what the candle will look like every 15 minutes. And then as it moves through those iterations, it will form the next bar, and it will show you what that bar looks like. Now, as you can see, you can go through a lot more 4-hour bars this way than you can on a real chart. If you want to speed it up, you certainly can. You can go like that, and boom. You can keep doing this until you see something that looks like a tradable signal. Now, maybe you want to zoom out a little bit and say, okay, we got, we're kind of in a, we're in a downtrend, very volatile downtrend. Now we're starting to pull into an uptrend. It's still volatile, but now we've taken out prior swing highs. So now we're in an uptrend. Maybe we're looking to trade a pin bar from some sort of resistance zone here, maybe a little higher up. Okay, great. So you can either zoom in and let this thing play out, which is a fascinating way to absorb kind of, the price action in real time and see how it kind of manifests. Or what you can do is you can pause it and manually move forward each bar. And it will show you each bar as it manifests. And so you can just kind of sit there and say, okay, I'm going to look until I get to a pin bar. Oh, wait. Okay, now we got one. So we say, okay, let's zoom out for a second. Is this at a resistance level? It's pretty darn close. Kind of works for me. So, okay, it's at a resistance level. I like this pin bar. Is it my favorite pin bar? Probably not. It's kind of in an impulsive move, so I'm a little less excited about it. So I should be a little bit cautious about it. Okay, well then, maybe I want to take a trade, so what do? Well, I want to take a pullback. I like this little wick right over here, so I can set my entry to get long or to get short around 58.50, which would be the top of this wick. So we can go to the order window here, and we can set up a position if we want to. You can actually say, we can set up an entry order. Shoot, I forgot. Give me a second. I'm so used to doing manual on this one here. Okay, sorry about that. So what we can do is you can move your arrow or you can move your mouse onto the chart where you want to sell and say, let's say I want to sell around here. You can right click and say sell with sell limit at 58.59, and you can see it's a little high, so maybe I want to get a little bit lower. So there we go. There's my price. I can pick my lot size. Make sure you keep it to a risk percent. Well, the stop's going to be above this here, so it's going to be above 58.90. So very simple. Put it, let's say 58.93. My take profit, I'll probably put it either around here, which should give me a good 2 to 1, 57.50-ish. Put 54, and I can even put a comment on it. So we'll call it 4-hour pin bar CT for counter trend. Okay, great. So I got my thing set up. It even shows me my execution price, my stop loss, my take profit. Great, everything's in place. Now, let's zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to show you just the chart here for a second so we can just kind of focus on that. Okay, great. So what if I want to move one bar at a time and see how this is progressing? Okay, great. It's progressing. This first bar was it was a with trend pin bar, so this isn't exactly as exciting. I still have my entry, I still think it's okay, but I'm going to want to see some correction heading into this and then some follow through. Otherwise, I might be a little bit cautious about this trade. Okay, it's better, but then boom, now I'm in the market. It shows I'm live in the trade. I've executed the trade. My stop is above. Okay, great. Sorry about that. I had to figure out what happened in the trade there for a second. So, okay, so now we're in the trade. Now, keep in mind, this pin bar was in an impulsive move. It was a relatively volatile trend here, but non-volatile heading into it. The next two bars weren't exactly confidence building. So with that being said, I'm short. Here's my stop. Maybe I want to, adjust my stop. I can do that. But, this is kind of be the pin bar I was saying, I'm not really feeling good about this. Now, if you are a set and forget trader, once you've made your trading decision, you're just letting it go to stop loss or take profit. But if you're someone who uses the style of managing it in real time, then you'd want to see if you'd want to manage this in real time. And so as each bar progresses, okay, this is a little bit better. I'm in a little bit of profit here, but this next bar isn't really as exciting. And this one's even looking a little worse here. So maybe I just say I want to scratch it. So you go down into your trade below. You just say, hey, I want to scratch this trade. Close position, F5, done. And it shows me where I was in and I was out. And look at that, it's hanging right at the top. That is not what you want to be seeing for a pin bar. That's kind of like the worst sign, is that there was no follow through selling after the rejection of the pin bar. It continues to hang up towards the top of the wick. This is absolutely not what we're looking for, so we should be expecting a breakout. And it kind of holds for it, and boom, there we go, breakout. So this is kind of, how we can use it to build our skill base. Now we could do the manual time and let this thing go, and as soon as we see a pin bar, we pause it, we put in our trade. We can do set and forget, or we can make the candles a little bit smaller, move a little bit faster, and as we find our trade set up, we make our trade and then we manually adjust it in real time. Now, if you think about it, this video has been now 15 minutes, and so on a 4-hour chart, you're only going to get one chance at a pin bar over 15 minutes. But as you can see here, how many did we go through? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, about 20 plus 4-hour charts, and there was about another 10 below that. So we went through 30 4-hour candles, or 120 hours of price action in less than 15 minutes. So what this means is you can speed up the number of reps, the bars you see, and the number of chances you can execute your pin bar method. So if that is a system that you want to trade, you pick that system, you pick the time frame, you pick the pair, go through several years of data. You can do that in a matter of hours if you have the time. If there are no trades, why sit there and look at the charts? You should be practicing, you should be training. This is a training opportunity. So it's a great chance to trade if you wanted to, and if you move fast enough, you could trade 20, 30, 50, 100 pin bars in a few hours. Compare that to the person who just sits there and watches the daily and 4-hour charts, and they only, make a trade at the end of a 4-hour bar or daily bar. If you're a daily chart trader, you only have one chance per pair per day to make a trade. If it's not there, what? All of a sudden your learning experience is just, oh, well, I'll just watch some more videos and read some documents and some books. It's ridiculous. It's a complete waste of time, and it's not using your time to the maximum. So this is how you build your skill set. You do it through repetition over and over and over again. And I guarantee you do 100, 200, 300, 500 trades on this, your skill set will increase. Your ability to read price action will increase. Your ability to spot really good pin bars will increase. All of this will increase tremendously at a much faster pace than the person who's only doing demo trading or live trading, and they are only trading when the new bar forms. You will increase your skill set way faster than them by several multiples. You will exponentially increase your skill set faster. So this is how you can do it. Again, when there's nothing available, train. When there's no setups available, train. Now, if you're a 5-minute, 1-hour intraday trader, well, then you need to make sure that there's there's not really much available in the markets. Maybe it's a holiday. Fine, great, fantastic time to pull up the Forex Tester 2. Is it a weekend? Is it a non-trading day? Fine, fantastic time to pull up the Forex Tester 2. If you're an intraday trader, you really need to be concentrated in the moment while the market's moving. But while the market's not moving, it's a fantastic chance to trade. Hey, maybe you're an intraday trader, but it's the Tokyo session, the market's not really moving, you want to practice. How do you do that? If the market is your only tool, how do you do that? You do it with Forex Tester 2. So here's another great case. You got a pin bar. Let's zoom out. Maybe it's now we're at a much deeper resistance level. So, we're kind of in this 160 zone here. And so, yeah, maybe this is a pin bar I do want to take. So are we pretty deep into the pin bar? Yeah. So what can I do? I can go into my orders, type in a new market order. I can sell here with a stop loss above at about 1.6063. And I can target, say, 1.5890. So my entry is about 70 pips. My target is about 100 pips, so I got about 1.5 to 1. And great, now I'm in. It shows me exactly where my trade is. It shows me where my stop loss is. If I want to adjust it, I can. And we move forward, and what do we see? A good rejection. This is a little bit better, a little bit more follow-through rejection. Closes bearish. Not my favorite. I wouldn't want to see those wicks. Am I going to get taken out? Maybe. Actually, this is better than the other one. It's not great, though. It's still holding near the highs, which is not exactly what I'm looking for. And now it's improving. We've taken out the lows. Bam, finally hit it. So entry, exit, shows me where I got in, shows me where I got out, and it will reflect in my trade. It will reflect in my trade balance here. It shows me my total number of trades, my profit and loss, accuracy, days processed, trades per day, trades per month. It shows me a tremendous amount of statistics here. And so this is all incredibly useful data. So with that being said, I'm hoping you can see the value of this as to how you can build your skill set. Remember, we are a solution-based training method. We are skill-focused. That's why we focus on skills first, tools and systems second. You build your skill set, you will be able to hit the target with your bow and arrow accurately. The same thing goes with trading. You will be able to build your skill set much quicker, much more developed, and the faster you do it and the better you do that, the more developed it is, the better your trading will be. So with that being said, I hope you found this really useful and really effective in terms of showing you how you can practice building skills while the market is slow, building your skill set here, which is primary. And so I look forward to your questions on it. Until then, I bid you adieu. Good luck trading, everyone.